I like catching things as good as possible. I haven't refilled the fridge. Although the Zevias, that's really healthy soda.
Yeah, okay.
It's like stevia leaf.
Exactly what I need.
Yes, healthy soda. All right, let's get set up here. This is like the best part of doing this show. Yeah. We got to figure out how to capture. Let's see. Can you hear yourself?
Trying to like hide from the.
So
I haven't said much, but I can hear myself.
You can go where I like sit on the ledge. There's no decorum
behind me.
Yeah, if you want to be on camera, go behind them.
Support crew.
Anybody?
It doesn't matter where you go in the room at this point.
Probably like
if you're this corner.
Oh yeah, this corner is kind of out of the shot.
Yeah, if you want to be out, I would say like over here maybe.
Yeah, like right, sit on the ledge.
Yeah. You guys have. Yeah. This is terrible. You guys have just completely abandoned me at this point.
Yeah, which one's in the way? This one. So we're gonna do this.
All right, and then tilt this up.
Yeah. So you want to speak like a fist away, like kind of close, because it's blocking out background
like right
noise.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're pretty good, I think. Let me see here.
I love the fact I wore mirrored sunglasses for this.
All right.
It'll be good.
So the best part of this show is trying to meet someone without meeting them and then convincing them to come over to this other building and start a podcast. But we haven't officially met you. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Exchange MKE with Andy and Joe. And we met
at the swinging door.
At the swinging door. I was going to say your name. I don't even know who you are yet.
No prequel to this? My name is Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. And Jeffrey, who'd you bring with you?
I bring my lovely wife, Leah, and my sister, Jennifer, which are just slightly out of the camera here. They spend a lot of time figuring out.
And they've been looking at us very skeptically. Like they're both waiting for the other shoe to drop.
They talked me into this and faded into the corner. It's unbelievable how fast that happened.
That's a good support system for
you.
Absolutely.
So
I can see them, and that's what matters.
So we told you kind of the premise of the show. So we're just going to ask you a few questions, and then it will spark quick discussion, and then we'll get the hell out of here and go back and get another drink or something.
I'm just glad I'm closest to the door.
Then you're going to leave them behind because they're over there. All right. So first question, what brought you to the Swinging Door Exchange?
Swinging Door is a family tradition for us, kind of. So what I think of as a swinging door is organically designed, good comfort food. This all started out years and years ago. So my family grew up on the water. We grew up in like the Western Lakes, western out of Milwaukee. And every time we do something ridiculously challenging with a boat or water, we wind up going, holy crap, we made it. And then we go to the swinging door.
Like a celebration.
It's kind of a celebration of life that didn't get lost or injuries that didn't happen.
What's an example of challenging things on the water?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is when I almost killed my father.
Oh, okay.
On accident?
No, that was entirely on accident. So my sister had this sailboat that I talked her into buying. We buy this sailboat. She has it in McKinley Marina, and we go to put it on the trailer that came with it. I'll tell you, this entire thing was pre-Columbian art. It was not well crafted, and it was not well put together. And so we get this boat back on this trailer. My father is a hero of the century. He's a tough, tough guy. Right at the end of the great generation, he's older. And so we get this boat on the trailer, and we realize before we put this thing on the road, the boat isn't all the way on the trailer. I have the great grand idea of there's these giant rocks. I'm going to back the boat up to the rocks and just use this truck to slightly push that boat the rest of the way.
Like a fiberglass boat.
Yep. What I didn't know is my godson and nephew's back there going, don't go yet. Meanwhile, I hit the gas and almost crushed my father into the rocks.
Oh, no.
But at the ripe young age of 78, he hopped about 7 feet in the air and missed all danger.
Wow.
We got that boat on the rocks. Everyone else went home to think about the day, and the rest of us went to the swinging door.
Okay, so
I
family
hope you bought
tradition.
your dad some drinks after that.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, good.
What was his order?
What was the what?
What was his order? Like, what does he drink after
He
he
didn't
plays
go
the-
to the swinging door.
Oh,
He's the one that went home. The rest of us go to the swinging door. Because as the great man he is, he created a bunch of degenerates.
That's hilarious. So, are you from the Milwaukee area?
I am from the Milwaukee area.
Whereabouts are you from?
So I grew up on about 124th and North, born at St. Joseph's Hospital. I'm looking into the corner for reaffirmation on that.
Yes.
I went to school in Tosa, grew up on the border of Brookfield, and Then went to Milwaukee, Marquette, downtown. So it was like half city, half suburbs, half country. Kind of got a little bit of all of it at the same time.
That's excellent. So in what high school were you at?
Marquette.
Marquette High.
Yeah, Marquette High School.
My sons are there.
Everyone
right
keeps
now.
forgetting about those.
Yes. Well, I have 2 kids there, and I'm going to have a third one there next year. So when you're in high school, what type of person were you? Like, what crowd do you roll with?
Quiet. Barely knew anybody. If you asked my graduating high school class, probably only half would remember me.
How come? Wow.
So, as I said, I grew up in that older family with my older parents and my siblings, my nearest siblings, a decade older than I am. And then my other brothers are 16, 17 years older. So I kind of grew up as like a mid-generation Gen Xer, but I'm supposedly a millennial.
Oh, you're an elder millennial.
I'm an elder.
A geriatric millennial.
They call us Zennials.
Is that what it's called?
I believe it's Zennials.
Zennials. Okay.
So I grew up like watching MASH and Cheers and all of these things we weren't supposed to watch.
So you're born like 81?
Yeah.
80. Okay. I'm on the, I was 85, so I'm geriatric or on the verge of geriatric millennial.
That is not what they call it.
That's what I've been called.
How is that a term?
That's because they make up stupid terms.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think those are funny though.
The generational terms are the ones that were never a part of any of them.
So you're the quiet kid at Marquette High.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time not studying. I'm not quite sure what I did most of my time.
So you weren't even the quiet smart kid?
No, I was smart. I just didn't apply myself in any way, shape, or form.
So smart.
I spent a lot of time on side businesses, becoming an honors caddy. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of things other than listening to teachers.
Okay, so anytime anyone told you to do something, you just kind of like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
I think I did the cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, that's good. So what do you do now?
That's the tricky one. So I own a restaurant in Milwaukee.
Oh,
Okay.
So it's funny, you guys caught me at a different restaurant, but it's not cheating. You're allowed to eat other places.
Yeah, you got to
Because
support the
frankly,
community,
you have
right?
to eat somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't be at work all the time. So I own a Sail Loft. It's a
Hey,
seafood
Andy,
restaurant.
talk about all the
great.
restaurants
Okay.
you hate real quick.
Sail Loft is among my favorite restaurants. I actually lived right next door. Just
on.
moved this week, so I would frequent.
Moved
there.
away.
Wait,
from
what
us?
restaurant? How do you know the
moved away
restaurant?
from- it's on Erie Street.
No, how do you know that's his restaurant?
You just said it.
I just said it.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I was asking
Yeah.
a question. What
You're
was
the
it called?
head of this podcast.
Nah, I'm half of the podcast.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm the listening part. He's the talking part.
That's fair. Yeah, so we're at the end of Erie Street. We're under that massive, giant, beautiful Hone Bridge.
Okay.
that they light up every night, and it's an awesome place. It is my heart and my soul. That's where I met my beautiful wife.
Oh wow.
Yep, she came in there because it was one of the most beautiful places in Milwaukee. I saw her out on the patio, and I said, you know what? I want to know you. And that's not actually just even where it stopped. She sat down at the bar to talk to her best friend, who actually worked for me at the time. And I literally sat down and said, hello, my name is Jeffrey. She kind of looked at me funny. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get to know you. And she's like, who's this weirdo? But I persevered and refused to let her say no.
There you go.
It's a great story.
That is a great story.
Oh, best I can come up with because that's what I've got.
So how do you go from being the quiet kid in high school to following 2 random dudes to do a podcast? Take us through this journey.
Pursuit of the new journey is always what it's been.
Okay.
So when you go to someplace like Market High School, theoretically, there's a business plan set out in front of you. It's either a plan to go to a specific school with a specific job idea or go to a specific school with a certain sports idea. I didn't really have that plan. My plan has always been follow the journey, and the journey will take you exactly where you're supposed to be.
That's
and if I hadn't done that journey, the Sail Loft wouldn't have happened. Before that, I worked at the Hype Irish Pub, which is kind of funny because it's still on the water. And the transition happened. I met my original business partner, and he goes, what do you see yourself doing in 4 years? I said, I'll be damned. I have no idea unless I'm doing it for myself.
I like
And
that.
that's how the whole plan started. And he goes, well, these business spots are available. What do you think you're doing next week? I go, well, I guess I'm opening a restaurant.
And then that was just it?
That's literally how it
Oh,
started.
I love that.
And when did you open the Sail Loft?
2011.
Okay.
So I quit my job at the Harp in late 2010 and sat in a really big empty building and kind of looked around and went, oh, crap, this is what I'm going to do.
That's awesome. And that's after you bought the building?
We didn't buy the building.
Okay.
We leased it, but it was
okay.
available. And so once we did all the meetings and kind of got started, then the next step was walk into this giant building you finally have keys for. You're 27 years old, 27, 28, right in that cusp. And then you walk into a big empty room and have to literally start from zero.
So what was I know starting a business, there's tons of challenges. What was the first one that hit you that made you wonder if you made the right decision?
Trust.
So
I had to hire a lot of people right out of the gate. And not just, the Sail Loft, as of anybody listening right now has no idea, we seat 360 people. It's not small by any means.
It's a big place.
It's huge.
Yeah,
and
that's
to make
insane.
that even more catastrophic is you seat 178 some inside, 170 some outside. Any given day when it's sunny out versus when it's rainy out, you either double or half the size of your business.
Wow.
And it's all based on weather.
So do you
click of a
look at the
finger.
weather and then plan your week?
I did in the beginning, and then I stopped looking at the weather because it only hurt more. If you're prepared for it, you're going to be wrong. And if you're prepared for it, it's just going to hurt the same amount either way. So you just be ready and just get going with it. How do we get on weather now?
Because you said your business is completely dependent upon the weather, basically.
Trusting people. Trusting people. That's where we
yeah.
came from. And so I had to hire, I think I hired 30 people in the first month. This was before we were open, before we did anything. I hired 30 people, and by the time we were open, I think I had like 10 of those employees left.
Wow.
And by the time we made it through the first month, I think I had 20 employees, and only one of them was one that I originally hired.
Wow.
And I learned a lot about how much I thought I knew about people and how much I knew nothing about anybody.
So what was the biggest indicator or the takeaway you got from that experience that you don't make that mistake going forward?
Trust people's eyes, trust in their soul, and you can create the work, and you can create their attitudes, you can create their work ethic, you can create anything else as long as they have that spark that works.
Okay.
And with that spark that works, you can take anybody from any walk of life and make them almost completely great at everything. And I've heard this from a couple other much significantly smarter people than me, is that there is only one commonality to all people in this world that are successful, and it's that they have never quit. And they may have quit from time to time, but they haven't quit in the grand scheme. They never took that day off saying, that's not my problem. They've never taken that day off saying, well, this should have been someone else's answer. And I'm not quite sure with how I was so bad at school and so much better at life. But in life, you care about it a little more. It's yours. It belongs to you. School is what everyone else wants to tell you is important. When it's your life, it's what you believe is important. And you never give up on the things that you believe are important.
That's really great. And I think there's a lot of people that would resonate with you that went through school and felt like a failure but they don't conform to that type of system.
My ultimate favorite failure of all time is Albert Einstein. C student, kicked out once.
Yeah.
Nobody respected him. But you know what? It just took the moment. He believed in what he wanted to learn and what he wanted to teach the world. And the rest of it didn't really matter.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So when you look into Andy's eyes, what do you see?
Oh, he's just so kind and gentle. He's smiling at me the whole
look at
time.
that.
That's like dead on, actually.
It is.
Andy's like a teddy bear.
Is there
And
a
he's in a great Wrangler flannel. That's what
You are a beautiful man.
Oh, wow, thank you, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there an interview question that you ask or a favorite interview question to bring out if people have that spark? How do you judge that when hiring someone?
That's actually the easiest one I've ever had. I asked them, what is a restaurant?
Oh.
And people will go on for 6 to 7 minutes of explaining all the things that they may or may not do the first day of work. All the things they won't do, which is the first turnoff. If anyone tells you it's something they won't do, it means they already pre-decided what they want to do with their life, and it doesn't include success. When they look at me and they say, oh, a restaurant's a great place where people come and buy food. No, it's not where you buy food. And my first response to that is, you can go anywhere to get fed.
Yep.
There's a million places to get fed.
Yep.
There's not everywhere where you can go to eat, which is one step above fed. There's not everywhere you go for an experience.
Sure.
And when anybody ever chimes in with the idea of, well, you're sharing an experience, that's when you know you've got them.
Yeah.
And they get it. And
That's
there's
your
nothing,
culture,
you can
right?
never take that away from them because they will always see it that way.
Yeah.
And restaurants aren't, like I said, just a place to get fed. It's a place for experience. That's why my family, one of the reasons why we continue to go back to the swinging door, especially Daryl. I mean, Daryl's like a hero among bartenders. If we're allowed to say names on here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Daryl
He's a legend.
Wants to be on this show so bad, but he's always so busy, so he can never come over here.
He also said he was terrified, but that must be the interaction.
I think he's just being humble because he's like, I have stories.
Yeah.
He's a hero among quiet men. You can see it in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you have something like a restaurant or a place, or you can even bring it back to like the idea of a museum or a talk show like this. Once you've engaged somebody and you've taken a little bit and shared that life experience where they've trusted you to have some of their feelings, some of their space, maybe a moment in time. For me, it's mostly moment in time. So people have rehearsal dinners, people have weddings, people have celebrations of life, which we used to call funerals. Things like that. Once that's ingrained, that is a piece of the memory. So I listen to my parents talk about all the places around downtown, like Sally's up on North Avenue, or I think Armelli's was in the Shorecrest. These restaurants that existed through the 60s and 70s, they can't forget where they were when the monuments in their lives happened. And that means you have a responsibility to not just take their money, give them food, and forget all the interactions between them. It means that you have become a part of a life moment. So we have people that get engaged at our restaurant. We have people that come back then for the rehearsal dinner. And then that first, second, third, fourth anniversary, usually until kids pop out, we're there every year. And then when the kids pop out, it takes about 10, 12 years.
Yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
But then you're also, when you tell your kids the stories, it's not just about what, it's about where.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a key. There's a whole idea of the kids with this whatever.
Geocaching.
And I think it's the digital world trying to attach something real to what they're doing every day. And if it was just a game on their phone, they wouldn't remember day to day. But the fact that it ties you to a location makes you actually go out in the world and see things. Now, all of a sudden, you're attaching all these feelings, all these personal moments. You're attaching them to something real. And when you attach them to something real, that's when they become human.
Yeah. That's incredibly deep. And I've never thought about a restaurant that way. I'm being serious. I'm not mocking you at all.
I'll tell you, a
it's
lot
true.
of those
It's
feelings,
100%
When you
true.
look back and you have fond memories in your life, it's like there's restaurants, bars that are associated with those memories.
100%.
It's a part of the
They'll
memory.
be like, oh,
of the
where
people.
did we eat? Oh, yeah, it was that place. And then it's always a positive thing.
Yeah.
What's really neat
And
about
even
it,
if Aunt Susie got sick on the mussels, it was still a great time.
that's arguably it makes it more memorable.
Yeah.
Like you think about vacations and
I
stuff.
should have said mussels. I have a seafood restaurant. But either way, the point was, is at that moment, it wasn't the feeding process that was important. It was that family and friends were together and that the experience was able to be celebrated.
That's fantastic. And I love how deeply you care about it. And it's neat that you look for that in your employees, and those are the ones who end up being successful because you essentially set that culture, and your culture is thinking of it as not a place where you just get fed. And I really like that because when I was listening to you, you weren't focused on numbers. All right, how can we cram people in here? But because you focused on the part that mattered, what you basically explained was not only do you have repeat customers, you have generational repeat customers. I mean, the way you said it, they come back for other anniversaries. They come back later. Their kids are born. They become a part of the tradition. Maybe they bring their kids. And that's way different than somewhere you just go to eat.
It's 100% true. And now that you said that, I probably should have paid a little more attention in high school for those business classes.
No. But what if that ruined you? I mean,
Yep.
like you're talking about running a restaurant like an artist talks about painting.
That's true.
And
never,
business
ever
could have
felt-
taken that away from you.
I never felt that this job I took on was necessarily like a direct career path. I made it a career path. Some of it was personal because, you know what, I always loved the industry. I loved what I did. I mean, I was a bartender when I started this. You can't be a bartender, be successful enough as a bartender to start a restaurant unless you really have passion for the idea of you want to make sure everyone has a great time.
Yep.
And that can get exhausting. That can get very alienating, very lonely. But at the same time, every day you wake up, somebody has a lot of fun. And it allows you to have fun. And you creating that positive energy on a daily basis is actually positive for yourself.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, really.
This is like the best episode we've ever done. Every time we do an episode, it's amazing.
How many episodes
This
have
is
you
now
said
a
that,
philosophy
Terry?
podcast.
No, because all of them have been amazing, but it's always every one that comes on next has been just amazing. This is fantastic.
Is this like drunk history for business creation?
Yeah, but it's like way more emotional.
Well, if you ask
In
my
a good
wife
way.
or anyone in my family, everything in my life winds up at that level of emotional.
I like that about you. I mean, I've just literally just met you, just learned your name, just learned what you did, and I'm like, yeah, you're a pretty awesome person.
And for the podcast's sake, there was no words exchanged before this because you actually didn't want to share any idea of what we were about to
I wasn't even making eye contact with you because
No.
I'm such a talkative person. I'm like, I can't even be in your vicinity or I'm going to just start saying stuff.
There was a
I
moment
was-
where Joe was like 10 feet down at the bar trying to avoid conversation before
100%.
this started. He was hiding from you.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I observe moments. I don't really always remember what people are saying, but give me names again.
Andy.
Andy and
Joe.
Yeah.
Andy and Joe. So Joe was walking down the bar, giving the very, very strict ultimatum of how we are not going to pretense any of this show. And then Andrew kind of looks at me and just goes, yeah, that's going to be good. You were the comforting one, and you were the
Yes.
very strict one.
I'm the hard sell.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was also his I'm sorry, I love this shirt.
I'm going to have
That's
to wear this every time. If this pulls in the guests, right? Like this,
If it's a daily show, I'd recommend getting 2.
okay. All right.
Yeah, we got to get them from there to here, so they need to feel comfortable on the route.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was wearing a ski mask. This was all very comfortable.
This is
Until
all.
we got in the tiny room with green lights.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because I do get worried people are going to think we set this up because we keep getting great guests. It's kind of ridiculous the type of people we've
You
been
guys have been
bringing
here like
across.
what, one day?
Well, we've done the other podcast for a few months.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That we've been here for a while. But this show kind of started. I'll give you a little bit of a
Organically. Yeah,
background. Unfortunately, people that listen to this are probably going to hear this story multiple times. But we were at an event at the Grain Exchange.
Okay.
What Christmas event was it?
Yes.
It was a
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah.
dinner.
Last year.
And then, as one does, because the Swinging Door is such a wonderful place, we went downstairs just for a nightcap, and we were outside just hanging out. It was like a warm January day. It was like one of the abnormally warm days. And this group of people came out, and we were smoking cigars, and like, hey, can we have a cigar? We're like, yeah. So we started talking to him. One guy was like a child orthopedic surgeon who flew in from somewhere else because he's like the one guy who can do this surgery, and he's flying in to do it. And
That
then
is a phenomenal task in life.
Yeah.
exactly, but
To,
we're like,
to take not only a career where you could just make money in it and decide that you're going to chase one goal to help a very, very specific group of people.
Yep.
That is exceptionally admirable.
yeah, and then you become the best at it, where it's like you're the guy on the planet that does this thing, which is pretty incredible. And then we just met, not to diminish it, but we met some other people who just had really interesting stories. And we kind of looked at each other like, this should be a show. Like, our studio's literally right there. Let's start just recording these and see if it's good. And so far, I mean, you're the fourth one. So we just started this thing.
So you took the man on the street theory and decided to take it, grab a man in the bar and bring him to the creepy room.
100%.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
And you know why? I think people are kind of getting over celebrities. Like, we're kind
That's
of,
true.
it's just, they're everywhere now. And they're getting, at least I'm getting celebrity fatigue. Like, I don't listen to any celebrity podcasts because, like, I see you in movies, like, take a break. So, like, I'm like, let's interview normal people instead of just having the same people that do the same circuit. Like, oh, you're on Rogan, then you go on Theo Von show, then you go on Jordan Peterson show, then you go on Tucker Carlson. And it's like the same people do the same thing on loop. And people are over it. I want to
Do you
meet real
think
people.
They're becoming boring.
No.
No, I'm not talking about the celebrity class in theory. Do
No.
you think the celebrity class becomes slightly antiquated because they get to a point where they're so terrified to be unique that they say the same things over and over again?
Yeah, I definitely think there's
Ooh.
some of that, right? Like when you talk to a normal person on the street, you hear a real story, right? And that's kind of the goal of this is like we want to interview people either from Milwaukee or visiting Milwaukee and learn their story. When you're talking to a celebrity in a podcast, it's some canned answer, right? Like they're repeating it over and over again. They've maybe run it through their
Oh, and they
publicists.
can't say certain things.
And they can't say certain things, or they're putting a spin on it for their benefit, or whatever it may be.
It's their job interview.
Yeah.
They're always interviewing for jobs.
yeah. This
all the
is more
time.
real.
And then once you have that fame, the only thing that terrifies you is losing it.
Yeah, if it's
That's probably
it's
true. I can't speak from experience.
Well, yeah, you could. You have a job, right?
Sure.
That pays for your lifestyle, your kids, your wife. What if you said a word on a show and then poof,
It's all gone.
all gone, and you might not be able to recover it?
Right.
So, can you blame them? I'm not saying you have to like it
Or listen to it.
or listen to it, but yeah, it's just I
As
agree
we were
with you.
talking about before, that whole theory of never quitting, never giving up is the only road to success.
Yeah,
I feel like that also caps some people. Is when you
Sure.
lose that drive and that lack of fear that makes you want to try it, whether it's going to hurt or not. When that caps itself and you go, oh no, I have what I have. If I lose this, it's all over. But that was not the drive that got you to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that scares me the most when I hear that.
So you're saying, like, as you become more successful, your risk of not necessarily complacency, but comfort will keep you from doing the thing that brought you there in the first place.
And I think it's more predominant in the public eye with the idea of success as celebrityism, as populism, is the one that is really hard to continue to repeat and grow upon. When success is personal and close to home, there isn't really this ceiling where you're afraid of breaking it or losing it because your goals and your successes are based differently.
Okay. Do you feel like it might be a risk reward where the risk becomes so great because the reward's so great, they start to become overwhelmed with the pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 pressures at that point that hopefully you guys will feel. I'll never feel those.
That'd be pretty. See, this is when you always say, "Oh, that'd be a great problem to have," but would it?
Something to think
Maybe,
about.
maybe we can thread the needle and just have the success without all the bullshit.
Yeah.
That would be, and that's when you find
Will you be my
people that
therapist?
only if you want to take your life in a complete oval circle.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound too bad.
At least the way you say it doesn't sound bad.
The racetrack of your mental success.
So, I mean, you've given such sage advice, honestly, especially because, I mean, the restaurant business, from what I understand, is not easy at all.
It's the most glorious and most terrifying thing you can ever do. I always tell people, so we consistently, because of the type of restaurant we are, being seafood and being location based, we get people of a certain age demographic. We get very young and very old. The middle group tends to be busy, and we're in kind of more of a flair place. And we get in groups of couples, and it's really hard to figure out age these days. There's 25-year-olds that look like they're 70, and there's 75-year-olds that look like they're 20. So I really don't assume anymore, but I assume once you see the gray hair and or the fact that, they have more credit cards than cash, that they're at a certain age. And when you see them, they go, you know what, my husband and I were really debating about the idea of opening a restaurant. Right now is like a retirement project. I'm like, there's only two reasons you want to do that. Is one, you never want to have a day off until the day you die. And two, you want to make sure you burn every fucking dollar you ever made in your life.
And I take it none of them have started restaurants after that.
No, and you see that real bright sparkle in their eye just completely disappear. And I feel bad for that, but I also feel like somewhat I'm helping them because it's not a sport for everybody.
It's not a retirement career.
Yeah,
It's like,
you've
I'm
saved some
gonna be the
retirements.
quarterback of the New York Jets when I retire. That just doesn't seem like a logical idea for your retirement.
Are you talking about someone specific?
I was
here?
going to say, I could name a name.
Okay, so my best friend is a Jets fan. I was thinking about quarterbacks, but now that I said it, that did happen twice.
Yeah.
But it's not working out. So it is proving your point.
Time.
Yeah, either time. Yeah.
But you know what? When the Jets fail, go to the Vikings.
So this is what's going to make this podcast shoot off. They were talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Yep.
We didn't see any names, so no one can copy
I just
us.
did. I'll take it. In theory, right? Is that the legal term I want to use when I don't
think so. No, that doesn't do anything.
That doesn't do anything.
No.
What could I say before saying something outlandish that would keep me out of trouble?
I would advise you not to say anything outlandish. Let's go there.
Okay. He's actually
Okay, I'll have
an
something
attorney.
outlandish. So what got you started in the podcast scene? And what led to this moment with this beautiful studio, which does overlook, Milwaukee here, and has.
Yeah, this is a great spot.
What started this idea?
It was 5 years ago. A good friend of mine, you're a good friend of mine, but the other friend of mine that from college, a good hiking and mountain climbing buddy of mine, we would always go on backcountry hikes like Glacier National Park, and we do the type of hiking where we take a backpack like that, you load it up with your tent, your food, all your stuff, and you go out for 5 days, 6 days, completely in the middle of nowhere. And that's like my happy place, like just being out in real wilderness, cut off from everything. It's beautiful. And we did it a lot, but when you do things, you want to hit the camera button for me?
Yep.
Thank you. When you
we lost
it. We're a new podcast. We're upgrading equipment, so the camera goes out. It times out after like 30 minutes. See, like at 30 minutes and 40 seconds. So when you're going backcountry hiking, you have to check in at the ranger station. You have your itinerary. You have to get permits, so they know where you are. So if you don't return, they can go look for you. But part of checking in, learning about, okay, here's where the water's flowing, especially if you're in a desert setting, like, oh, there's springs here. This one's dry. This one's not. So, you don't die. Bear activity. They give you the rundown of what's happening currently, so you can just be well prepared. But at the end, they also will tell you people that had gone missing on the same trail you're going to be on that they don't know where they are.
And it's supposed to help look for them.
They just say, hey, this person was actually in the same area you're going to be in. If you see anything, it could have been like months ago. They're like, if you see anything, mark it on your GPS or on your map. And then when you come out, let us know, because then they'll go investigate. They're like, don't touch anything. Like if it's a body, like come out right away. But if it's like a jacket or whatever, don't end your trip. Just let us know so we can go investigate. Okay. It's happened enough where it's not unsettling. But when you're cut off from all technology and you're doing that, what do you talk about? Well, we talk about what the hell happened to these people. So after doing that enough times, we just came back, and it was right before, it wasn't during the pandemic because we had been going a couple of years. But I had a bunch of kids. He just got married. It was like the thing we got together to do like once a month. Like, hey, let's record these shows. We'll send them to our hiker friends. Not really with an intent of like, let's become big podcasters, especially it was at that point in time where everyone and their mom was starting one. So like to say it was kind of douchey to say like, oh, I started a podcast. So we kind of like, I didn't tell anybody about it. And then it started actually organically growing pretty big, and it's big enough now where it makes money. So that's been an awesome ride. And I really enjoyed you explaining your restaurant, because that's kind of how I feel about this. This is my art. I didn't know it was until recently, but I realized like, I really enjoy doing this. I'm good at it. It's a lot of fun. Like, can I do this as my job? And I know it will get harder if I do that, but I want to versus like I have to. So I really like resonated a lot with what you were saying. So part of that was I'm with Andy, and I'm a creative type person. So I'm always like, what could be a really fun show? I don't want to make a show just to have a bunch of shows. I want to do shows that I think could be really, really fun and cool. My life motto is I want to do cool shit with cool people. That's it. I want to do really cool shit with really cool people. And then when you do that, the rest kind of falls into place. I really believe that. It's like, don't chase money, don't chase fame, don't chase the end result. Do the art, and if you do it really fucking good, people are going to want to come be a part of it. And when enough people want to become a part of it, you end up being those things that you thought you wanted to be, but in a much different way. So if this becomes huge, awesome. If not, I kind of don't care. Like, we have fun doing it. Like,
absolutely
awkwardly going over to the bar and like looking at people and be like, you want to come on a podcast? Like, just scare the crap out of them. It's like so weird. So that's what got us literally to awkwardly meeting you in a bar, me going, don't talk to me about anything. And then I go hide in a corner.
Well, that was the dream. Yeah. And I feel like part of your pickup line is don't talk to me.
I like that. Yeah.
But what you were telling me about
hard to get, Joe.
I'm going to do that now.
Do you want to be on a podcast?
Don't talk to me. Yeah. Don't talk to me. We're going to do a podcast. And I'll just go in the corner.
I love the story of how this started, because I forgot exactly how you phrased it, but you were chasing to do the greatest things with people you respected. And that was the dream. Yeah. And that gets summarized up for you as the dream. So I'm actually a big backpacker too, Eagle Scout.
Oh, nice.
So your whole story was like, oh, yeah, this is exactly how all this starts. All crazy people start in the woods.
So we're like best friends now.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, so what are you doing Sunday?
I'm going to be in the Keys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, how
did we not talk about Fantasy Fest?
Because this is about you and the fact that we just went on that tangent, ruined kind of the format, but it's our show and we can do whatever the hell we want.
The format's only ruined if we don't circle around.
There you go.
But the whole backpacking dream is exactly how it worked for me, is that your dream has to somehow mean something to make it make sense for other people. And the biggest thing I love about the whole idea of you being able to share those experiences in complete backcountry, which I'm impressed where you went, because I never got to talk to any ranger before we went. It was just kind of like, oh, hell to high up. Is that you wanted to actually share that with the people that may or may not in their life ever have the physical, mental, financial's kind of less of it, but getting to those regions is difficult. If you live here in Milwaukee and you're like, I want to see the top of a 14er, it does cost a lot of money to start that trip.
Yeah.
To finish that trip only takes what's in your soul.
100%.
But for you to share that with other people that can now start that dream, that's a dream building another dream.
Oh,
and that is the beginning of inspiring people to come up with that idea of, this is something I'm going to chase. I've seen a mountain on a TV, but I've never seen somebody's physical reaction to the idea that they're doing it themselves. And as good as modern nature shows go, which I was addicted to as a child. My parents only let me watch PBS and PBS2, which was here in Milwaukee, 10 and 36. So I watched Nova, National Geographic.
And you had to click a dial to get to those stations?
Absolutely. You had to be really careful, though. If you did watch a movie.
Millennials.
Yeah. Click.
When you watched a movie, there was a cord to the remote, and you had to make sure when you fell asleep, you didn't spin yourself up in it and choke to death. But that dream is how it starts. And that's absolutely beautiful. So actually, I wound up getting a little bit back, which I really appreciate, is the fact that going into the backcountry, one, separates you from everything else, but at the same time, in this modern age, you were able to share that entire experience of separating yourself. And that's pretty freaking cool.
And I think there's a similar goal of this podcast where Joe and I both love Milwaukee, and the thing about Milwaukee is the people, right? Like, you will talk to people who like and appreciate Milwaukee, and it is always the people. And I think the reach of this is going to be to celebrate those people, having people like you on and sharing your philosophy and your story, and that's going to spread. That's the goal, right? We want people to learn what the heart of Milwaukee is all about.
Well, and we could have scheduled a podcast because we knew you owned a cool restaurant. We wanted to hear about it. This conversation would have been entirely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It would have been totally with an agenda. Well, even if you did, though, it would be fun. I'm sure it'd be entertaining, but it'd be for a completely different reason, and people can sense that.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think the celebrity fatigue comes in, because you're listening to a celebrity podcast and you can tell they're doing it because they feel like they have to. And it's just their character, and their characters are actually fake. And when you're wanting to learn about real life, you can tell when it's fake and it's not as entertaining.
Yeah, and the nice part is you can't get prejudged before the show, and you don't know who's going to be on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Our whole thing was like, man, I really hope it's not just going to be like a line of people who, I even hate saying it, but are boring, but are scared. They agree to come on, but they don't say anything. I'm like, what if it's just that? Then this is going to suck. So the results are almost scaring me, because it feels like it shouldn't be this good this often, but it's also giving me hope, because it's like, holy shit, what if everyone is this interesting and we've just been ignoring them?
Well, it's demised a lot of people in my life that gave me better respect than spending your life in a bar room. But there is the fact that some of the most creative and strange people in the world find themselves mildly lonely, even though they're around people all the time.
Sure.
And they tend to collect. And they don't collect at Applebee's.
Yes.
They don't collect it anywhere like the places I said, where you can get fed or get watered. Watered is the old term for getting drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
And you wind up finding those places that have that specific feeling where it feels welcome for people with wandering minds and creative theories and this kind of soulful loneliness to all meet in one place, and they don't know how they wound up there. And then they literally talk till the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And you happen to be located very, very vicinally close to one of those places where those are the kinds of people that get attracted to that location. It's independently owned. It has very amazingly good food, yet it's entirely designed as a comfort local community bar. And not community bar as saying it's ever going to tell anyone to come there, because the people are going to tell the right people to come there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The natural outreach of, this is where I'm comfortable, this is where you'll be comfortable.
I think there's a legit energy to that place.
Yeah, there definitely is.
It's too weird.
And
I can, in the corner of my eye, I can see your sister nodding.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even the guy we had that was the brand educator from Angels Envy vodka or Angels Envy whiskey. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get hung by.
We'll go back and correct that.
I know. No, he won't. We do this raw, no editing.
Can you do it just as like a blip over the corner?
I don't think so. There's these buttons do stuff, and I always forget what they are. But he even said, because he was doing the rounds, because they're doing the triple oak release, and he said he just stopped there to have lunch, and he's like, I went back to my hotel, and I was like, I want to go back there. And he said he's literally drawn to go back there, and that's how we met him. I mean, I think he just explained through energy how this whole show came to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the universe pulling us like a magnet to a
Yep.
really unique,
Cool place.
in Milwaukee.
Yep.
It takes a good bartender, it takes a good atmosphere, and it takes a good attitude among everybody that's there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And customers can drive other customers away faster than the bad staff can. If you've got shitty people in a room,
Sure.
people with good energy walk in, they feel it, and they leave.
You feel it right away.
But if
Yep.
you have 2 or 3 people with good energy in a room, people walk in the door, they feel that, and they can't help themselves but stay the rest of the year.
Yep. And then come do a podcast with strangers.
Yes,
That's
correct.
the goal.
Perfect. What do you have any other questions?
I can't ask anything better than what's been said here.
I know. If there was any type of parting statement that you'd want to say to all of Milwaukee, potentially the world, what would it be?
By God, have good friends and take care of your family.
That's
I love it.
Yep. Everything you said so far has been absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you
good,
very
'cause
much.
That was
very
the most
much.
intimidating question you guys had all day.
No, that was a perfect answer. Like succinct and right to the point, but beautiful at the same time. Thank
All
you
right,
very
gentlemen.
much for being on our show.
Hey, thanks for bringing him in. Your
this is a
creepy
lot of
little
fun.
room.
Let's go back over
go
and,
get a drink.
and yeah, let's go get a drink.